Greetings, friends and future friends. Due to some comments I got on a previous video, I'm going to do another video on the Headrush pedal board. This time I'm going to show you two rigs, two presets I built that are one is more of a country twangy sound, like you'd have a Fender sound for that real country twang. And then there's another preset I have for more of a bluesy lead with a vibratone in it. And I'll show you how I built them and the parameters to each of those settings. So let's get started. So here you have RJMCL02. And again, like I said, you can classify these presets so you can bring them up, and actually on the board, on the deck, you'll actually see RJMCL2. This is the rig or the setting I use for when I want to get that nice country twang, when I have a single coil being played through my near the bridge. It'll be a single coil on either my Ibanez or my Tellys, and I'll have that single coil on the bridge. So basically the input's about the same as it always was, my RJMIN02. So again, I have my gain at 0, the gate threshold at minus 62.9, gate relay at 12 milliseconds, noise filter at minus 100, and of course I don't have any USB going out of this. Let's get back. Then the volume control is the standard, basically setting it up for the A control panel that's on the deck of the Headrush pedal board. So first, now, one thing on this, more of a clean sound, and one thing I've noticed with when using the Headrush pedal, or actually anywhere, you can use a little more compression when you're getting this more clean sound. So here we have a Dynacomp 3 and my Dynacomp 3, and we'll go back. I can go back to that. So the Dynacomp 3, I've got a minus 12B threshold, attention 1.74 milliseconds, a 2.7 dB gain, a 2.0 to 1 ratio, a 1.42 return, and a 15 0 dB knee, which that dB is actually going to be the knee of where that compression starts to bow back when I call it the knee. And the Perry EQ, gain 1, I have negative 1.8, and that's at the frequency of 6.9 hertz, and the Q is 0.3. And then on gain 2, I have 0 dB, and at 185 Q2, really not doing any of that. And same with gain 3, we're not doing anything, we're not adding or subtracting. And now gain 3, same thing, we're not doing anything. And then gain 4, we have a minus 5.2 at 15,000 hertz, 15K. And basically, if I go down here, you'll see I'm acting that both as a shelf. So in the Perry EQ, if you go up here, you'll see the gain minus 1.8 at 69. That's a shelf going through the bass end of the spectrum. And again, you can see type 4 is a shelf too. So we're cutting everything off at about 15,000, which is pretty good because there's any kind of noise or pick noise that might take a little bit of that pick noise away. But being we want that twangy sound, we want some of those highs to remain. Then what I'm doing is I'm using a white boost. And the white boost, it's actually a white boost, and it's under the distortion pedals. And let's go back. And the white boost is basically 12% gain, 43% treble, 36% bass, and then I have a 39% level setting on that. Then I've got a bass 2. Now the bass 2, of course, you can see is off, but the bass 2, what that is going to give me a little bit of drive when I want to get a little bit more distortion and drive. and that's about 12% gain, 45% treble, 43% bass, and 39% level. Almost the same thing. Then we go to the amps. Now the amps, these are the, you're going to see it's a 65 Black SR, which we know what kind of amp that is. And again, I've labeled this amp. This is a RJM 65 Black SR, and it's going to my preset CL02. So we're running them in stereo. Again, as I've said before, all the amps that are up on top are going to the left. All the amps and cabinets on the bottom are going to the right. So this cabinet's actually going to the left, and this cabinet here is actually going to the right. So we're going down there. So what we have that at, we have the amp volume at 52%, bright is on, vibe is off, treble is at 80%, 81%, mids is at 52%, bass at 30%, and of course the vibe isn't on, but if it was on, it's at 7 hertz, the vibe intensity 85%, and then the vibe sync is off. And then of course the bottom amp on the right is the same identical thing. Then we go to pitch, my pitch delay, which this pitch delay, using a pitch delay, you're adding another tone, but because you can drop the pitch down and delay it, it adds a little bit more realism, a little more thicker sound. So I got the delay at 21 milliseconds, the mix at 12%, feedback at 0, level at 0 dB, detune 3%, and then low cut at 84 hertz, and then the high cut at 15K. And then the width is 0 and the sync is off, because I want that to be straight in. The doubler, the intensity is 59%. We have 7 milliseconds, and the width of 12 is basically what the stereo doubler is doing. And then the tremolo, I have it at 7 hertz. I got a tri-square shape of 52%, which that right there, you're talking about a triangular shape, which, is more of a real sharp, or a square, which is going up, over, and down. So at 0%, it would be a triangular, which would mean the volume would come up and go down. The square would be the volume comes up, goes over, and comes back down. And that's at 52%. So we're right in the middle of a triangular, like a sawtooth, and a square wave form. And depth's at 52%. The phase is 20% off, and the sync is off. And let's go to the cabinets. Let's bring up the cabinets. Now, the cabinets are an AC blue, which we know what kind of cabinets it are. They're AC blue cabinet, 212 cabinets. And, of course, you can see I have RJM AC blue 21257. So basically what I'm saying is that, this is my preset. And then what's going to happen is I have a Dyna 57, which you know what the 57 microphone is like. And that's the mic I have. And like most of my presets, I don't really touch or arrange the speaker adjustments. I kind of leave them where they're at. Let's go back. And then the reverb. And the reverb is 48%. Tone 100%, pre-delay it's at 21 milliseconds, mix is at 5, and the tails are on. Because with the country twang sound, you're going to want a little bit more of a little bit of that nostalgic reverb. And the 11 reverb really gives you that great nostalgic rhythm or reverb. So that pretty much sums it up. That's basically my country twang kind of preset that I use when I'm wanting to get that great country sound. Okay, this is my blues lead. So again, it's RJMBL0L, which then really means it's Reverend John Michael's blues 0, which means my flash guitar, my 1S guitar called flash, and it's the lead. This is the really killer sound I have for blues. It really has a nice drive. Now you can see already that the one green JRC OD is actually off. And that's really cool. Now later on I'll show you. Right now I'm going to be playing, you can play with a single coil and be playing some nice, and this will give you a nice rhythm with a single coil. And then when you add the distortion, the second distortion gives you a little bit more drive, a richer sound. And then when you push it all the way to full humbucker in the on my Ibanez S, it really gets a good sonic strike that will cut through the mix. So volume control is the same. It's always been. Now the vibraphase is under the modulation presets, and you'll see it says phaser. And what I have the rate at 12 hertz, depth at 100, volume at 100, and the mode is chorus, and the sync is off. Then OD1 is 61% drive, 54% tone, and a level of 54%. Then the OD2 is 0 drive, 52% tone, 39% level. And now the amps, let's go to the amps. The amps are LD 800, 100 watts. So it's a lead, an 82 lead, and you know what an 800, watt amp is, the amp they're talking about. And again, I always take that cab link and make sure it's off, because I don't want the cab to link up with this cabinet. I want to select the cabinet. And go from here, we'll go back. And again, the top amplifier is going to the left and the bottom amplifier is going to the right. Same with the speakers. So on that amp, we have master volume at 100%. The preamp is at 86%. The presence is at 14%. The bass is at 54%. The mid is at 68%. And the treble is at 34%. Now, one thing you'll notice also is that the graphic EQ, pitch delay, stereo doubler, and the flanger are in between the amp and the cabinet. So what that's doing is just simulating the same thing as if you took your effects out of your amp, ran it into your effects, and then ran it back into the amp, and then it would go out to the speaker. And this configuration really seems to work out pretty nice. So let's go to the graphic EQ. Graphic EQ, lows at 2.1 dB, low mids at 1.2, mids at 0, high mids at 0.9, and the high is at 1.2 dB, and I have 0 gain. Then on the pitch delay, again, as I said before, you add that delay with a tuned down delay, and those two notes will kind of make it sound richer and thicker. Delays at 3 milliseconds, the mix is at 21%, feedback's at 0, levels at 1 dB, and detune is at 3%. The low cut's at 20 hertz, and the highs at 20,000, 20K. And kind of 20 to 20 is kind of putting everything out of ear range. So I really wanted everything to be affected. And stereo doubler intensity 59%, 0 milliseconds, and the width is 21%. Then the flanger is at 0.5 hertz, depth at 39, feedback's at minus 39, the pre-delay's at 7 milliseconds, stereo is 90 degrees, and the sync is off. Then we go to the cabinets. Let's go to the cabs. Now these cabs are, and we know what kind of cabinet they're talking about, is a 412 classic 30 watt cab. And as you look up there, you'll see my preset is called RJM C30W414. And what that's saying is basically, it's a C30 watt classic 412 classic 30 watt cabinet with a 414 mic, condenser mic in front of it. And we know what the condenser mic they're talking about. It's a 414. And again, I don't like to change any. I just like to the properties of that cab to work. So let's go back. And then the reverb, 25% decay, 100% tone, 0 milliseconds pre-delay, and mix at 14%, and the tails are on. And basically, that's the lead sound or lead rig I have for playing lead when I want. So basically, this is the rig I use when I want to play blues and I want to have a little more gain. I can back down the gains and pull out the distortion pedals if I want, but this is basically when I want that really killer blues sound and with a little bit of drive. So again, if I come down here and I turn this distortion box on and off, I really get some drive. So in this position here, I would just be playing basically a single coil pickup on the neck position, playing a nice bluesy thing, and then I could go and click this on, add in 2 distortion pedals, and it gives me that nice drive. And then if I click the guitar up to a full humbucker, I can really hit those high notes and they'll kick right through the mix. All the sounds being played in this rig, RJM CL02, have been played on a guitar with the positioning of single coil in the bridge pickup. This is RJM CL02 with one of the white boosts on and the other one off, and the tremolo is turned off. This is RJM CL02 with the white boost, the second white boost turned on to give a little bit more gain. Now this is RJM CL02. We're going to turn the second boost off and we're going to turn the tremolo on. This is the sound of RJM BL0L being played with one distortion pedal on and one distortion pedal off. The guitar is set to the neck pickup in a single coil position. This is the sound of RJM BL0L being played with both distortion pedals turned on and the guitar being played in the neck pickup in the single coil position. This is the sound of RJM BL0L being played with both distortion pedals on, and the pickup, the neck pickup, is set to a humbucker position.
So there you go, 2 presets, 2 rigs I built, one for country and one for playing the blues. I hope you could see how I put them together, what amps I was using, what effects I was using. So take care, my friends, and thanks for watching.